Today is 23rd, but I was preparing my notes yesterday for today's presentation and recognized yesterday was Ramdas Navami. And those people who understand Marathi or follow Sant Ramdas, he is a highly respected saint that Kumud and myself revered so dearly. And if you want to describe him, this is Marathi. It says, शुका सारखे पूर्ण वैराग्य ज्याचे वशिष्ठापरी ज्ञान योगेश्वराचे कवी वाल्मिका सारखा मान्य ऐसा नमस्कार माझा सद्गुरु रामदासा जय जय रघुवीर समर्थ. So he was a wonderful teacher who lived in 1602, 1682, and he was the primary advisor to Shivaji, who protected Hinduism from the southward march of the Muslim Mughal Gharanas. What we have done so far is studying the select verses from Gita. And today is the seventh session, which started initially on 22nd of September last year, and the seventh in the series. We have discussed what various reference books that we always used. We spent a great deal of time discussing Gita Mala Mantra, emphasizing the value of Anushtup Chanda, which is kind of stills and quietens the mind. We learned the important lessons through the teachings of various scholars, where we learn also that we are the best friend of ourselves. And if we don't use this human birth to complete the mission of recognizing one's identity, you are perhaps the worst enemy. Uddaret Atmanatmanam. We studied the story of one young average householder, Tulsi Gosain, till the time his bright young wife reminded of his love. He said, if you loved as much as you love me, you'll be the perfect devotee of Sant Ram. And this young man turned into a totally different person and ended up being Santa Tulsidasa. Just need one important teacher, important mentor who direct one into the right direction. And we also studied that God always comes to help those devotees who sincerely exhibit 6 qualities to accomplish any task, such as sincere efforts, immense enthusiasm, dogged perseverance, and solid knowledge, seek out the available resources, and exhibit sincere willingness to face any obstacles along the way. As we said in Sanskrit, Udyamam Sahasam Dhairyam Buddhi Shakti Parakrama Sharete Yatra Vartante Tatra Devaha Krayaya Krayakra. The key is to remember the divine help is always fair and easily accessible to any individual, especially if the individual has surrendered his ego and is very sincere and prayerful all his lifetime, and not simply during the time of needs. Then trust me, from my personal experience, I tell you, the help pours on each one of us from known and unknown individuals, and sometimes from totally unexpected sources, which extends an helping hand, and for that dedicated driven devotee. I can tell you, from my personal life that has happened to me all my life. Over a period of last 9 months, we have studied what Sri Krishna has taught us in Bhagavad Gita in the form of 4 paths of yoga. And since I love Sanskrit, yoga word, as all of you know, comes from a verb yuj, Y-U-J, which means to unite, to join, to yoke. Basically, these are the methods to reunite ourselves as individuals with our source of creation, God, Brahman, whatever name you want to apply. We studied so far in December last year, Karma Yoga, by performing an action without attachment in the service of others. In January, we studied Bhakti Yoga, by complete surrender, total devotion, without any ego, all through your life. You can achieve the same results. And today we're going to discuss Raj Yoga. By self-discipline and self-control, we are able to do it. Now, when you talk about yoga, sometimes it's important to remember that yoga constitutes the practice side of Vedic vision. Vedic wisdom, there's a theoretical side and the practical side. Lord Sri Krishna is the avatar of yoga. Main deity of yoga is Shiva Yogeshwar. And that yoga went on to Natha yogis. So that's how Adinath Shiva went to Gorakhnath, Nivruttinath, Nyandev, and that's how all the saints from Maharashtra came about. And as we studied, Sri Krishna is explaining through 4 primary centers through Bhagavad Gita. And then sage Patanjali systematically compiled yogic principles of Raj Yoga in Yoga Sutras, where if you want to describe original description of his, Yama Niyama, Asana Pranayama Pratyahara Dharana Dhyana Samadhayo Ashtau Angani. So Yama means control at the interaction level. Niyama means control at the individual level. Asana are the physical postures of the body to remain physically strong, healthy, supple. Pranayama is breathing exercises to calm your mind. Pratyahara is withdrawing from sense objects. Dharana means fixing the mind on one single object of your meditation. Dhyana is a perfect contemplation with total withdrawal and withdrawal. And when you do that over a long period of time, you'll fall into the final step, what we call samadhi. So these are the basically 8 different steps that Patanjali has described for us to understand. Now, if you want to summarize the 6th chapter of Gita in 5 to 7 minutes, it would go like this. Meditation is the technique to recognize one's true identity. The one who is physically engaged in action, but who knows and understands that the self or our true nature performs really no action. That individual is truly wise and is considered as a renunciate. It doesn't matter whether he's a married man or not. Renunciation is recognizing your own nature, which is full and complete. It is never changing. The ignorance and error that cause you to be estranged from that truth can be removed by knowledge when gained through the scriptures, preferably guided by an individual or a mentor we call Sanskrit guru, who directs you in the right direction at the right time in your life, starting with the initial teacher of Sri Krishna, or as we describe it, Sadavya Samarambhat, Shankaracharya Madhyamam, Asmat Acharya Paryantam, Vande Guru Paramparam. So you start with Lord Shiva. One may have various experiences of joy and fullness, but they will never give you the knowledge that indeed you are Sat Chit Ananda. That means you are a self-effulgent awareness that is immortal and eternal and always overflowing with every possible positive emotion, including joy, happiness, and contentment. In any moment of profound happiness, remember carefully, during that moment of happiness, the duality of knower and known, seer and seen totally disappears. In that moment of ecstasy, the desire to be limitless is fulfilled, and there is nothing other than the real, true, real you that shines through. That fullness that one obtains in that experience is not due to any object or a situation that you're in. It is you free from taxing, demanding, desiring, and willing mind. Unfortunately, often we don't recognize that fullness is our own true nature. Till the time some enlightened teacher comes along the way and reminds you that Tvamasi. Now, Karma Yoga we studied is said to be the means for a discriminative person who wants to master contemplation, and renunciation is said to be the means for one who has already mastered contemplation. By doing action with right attitude, you'll gain a contemplative mind, with every result accepted with pleasure. Considering that as a divine grace, prasada, your mind becomes purer. Likes and dislikes are reduced, and your mind becomes free of reaction. Eventually, one recognizes that your mind is naturally contemplative. In the third verse of the sixth chapter, it says, Arulukshor mune yogam karma karanamuchyate yoga arudasya tasyaiva shama karanamuchyate. Even though this development of mind takes time, there is no reason for self-condemnation. If others condemn you, do not accept their judgment. It's quite common to be criticized. And as such, as you may remind, go back in your childhood, at home, at school, in our society as we grow up. This leads to the conclusion that you're really useless. Trust me, you're not. You're complete. When a boastful person feels that he is useless, boastful person, and goes about boasting only to cover up the feelings of inadequacy. If you refuse to abandon the negative judgment about yourself, even God cannot help you. And so Sri Krishna, remember, in the sixth chapter, he says, you should uplift yourself. Uttaret atmanatmanam, atmanam navasadayet, atmaiva yatmano bandhir, atmaiva rukra. You're the best friend if you use this human life to understand your true nature and live happily forever. If you blow this chance of human mind with a free will to study carefully, you are the worst enemy because you blew the opportunity. Because as we have discussed in the past, there are three things which are difficult to receive in this life. What are those three things? Manushyattvam, to be born as human beings. Mumukshatvam, desire to be liberated from shortcomings. And Mahapurusha Samshaya, being in the association of the people who already died. So these are the three difficult challenges, but it only comes Deva Anugraha Hetukam, Deva Anugraha Ekam. Only with divine grace, those things are fulfilled. Now, Shri Krishna will continue to describe having arranged in a clean place a firm seat that is neither too high, too low, a soft cloth, animal skin, kusha grass. And it is, as a matter of fact, I won't bore you with the details about it. But basically, if you go to the sixth chapter, Shuchodeshe Pratipyashta Sirama Sarmatmana, it describes all the classic technical things about doing the meditation. Yep. What is described here is the proper posture, environment, and attitude for meditation are described. Let your body forget the aches and pains, consciously relax the body, sit yourself comfortable position, don't have to be concerned with the rest of the world. Only appointment at that time you have is with yourself. The sense organs are completely withdrawn, and what does not react to sounds that are occurring around you. But should not be worried about the details in these verses, but instead make certain that your body is relaxed. And at this stage, inspiring us objectify our body as says, seated here, having made this mind single pointed, the one who has control of the mind and senses should practice yoga, that means contemplation, to attain the purity of mind. And at the end, hopefully, we'll have a chance to share with you the way I do the meditation. Tatai gragram mana krutva titchendrindriya upavishyasane yoga atma shuddhaye. So basically the 12th verse. This meditation should allow us to overcome our ignorance and error, the fear to sustain on mistaking a rope to be a snake is not only due to ignorance of the rope, but also due to error of taking it as a snake. The clear knowledge that is only a rope will remove both the ignorance and the error. Similarly, the knowledge that we are indeed in reality limitless, ever present and never ending joyful awareness comes about through regular meditation, following the guidelines or suggestion by enlightened mentor that comes in your life, who has no other purpose in life except to help and uplift all those people who are willing to learn and help themselves. That's a quick summary of all the verses of the 6th chapter I gave you in exactly 5 minutes. Most of us have come from India, and many of us have retired. But as we came here, majority of us wanted to be rich and famous, and wanted to be happy and healthy, of course, and live forever. And that's what we pursued our life. And many of you younger people in the audience probably have the same mental attitude. So what do? We have a demanding job, and sometimes jobs, my friends. Our family responsibility is that means high maintenance spouse and children. We commute through the congested traffic, the place of work, go to grocery store, drive children for the extracurricular activities all over the town. And of course, our personal needs are on to keep up the traditional news media and endless 24/7 online communications. And the day ends before we know it. We fall asleep utterly exhausted, only to get up early next morning, a little refreshed, but to start the very same exhausting routine all over again. It's no wonder that we eat fast food on the run, had no time for any kind of regular exercise, rest or relaxation. We are always tense and wound up. Our blood pressure is up. Our sugar level is borderline high. We always seem to be on the edge. Let's face it. At this rate, we know that catastrophic illnesses are just around the corners. Tragically, many of us, so-called successful life in this material world, indeed have led this kind of lifestyle all throughout, and some of you are still leading it. Even though the death is all around us, and pursue the large obituary columns every day, we tend to continue the life in the same particular fashion. Now, we talked in the last 3 sessions how to stay in a state of happiness through Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, and today is the Raja Yoga. What I thought was that I'll share with you some of the images which show how the changes do take place in the brain when you meditation. That, luckily for me, with the help of my daughter, who also is a radiologist like me, I will be able to project certain images which will give you some information as to how our brain works when we meditate and affects the outcomes that I'm going to share with you during the course of the discussion. And hopefully, you'll have a chance to ask questions and answers. So, if you bear with me for a minute, I'll show you some pictures. Well, when we talked about various benefits that come about, meditation lowers the blood pressure, and we talked about what happens the way we lead our life. It reduces the stress hormone, the cortisol, reduces the cognitive decline, the myself excluded, aids in chronic pain, depression, anxiety, Parkinson's disease, and dementia, and health and healthy aging. And what I'm mentioning is not something that is it is proven by various references. Those who are interested, I'll be very happy to share with you how what the exact reference is. And as a matter of fact, millions of Americans now are meditating, and many, many millions around the world do the meditation. And meditation increases alpha and theta brain waves, linking to relaxation and periodic aha moments. And I'll be able to show you some of the images for you as we go along. It changes the actual brain activity in the brain, and the centers of empathy, compassion, and concentration and equanimity certainly get highly stimulated. And on the other hand, the centers of anxiety have diminished activity. So, perfect advantage by doing meditation. There's a study from NIH showed meditation is done by about 18.3% of the people in this country as of 2022. And the same number was 7.5% about 20 years ago in 2002. But of all the various alternative medical therapies, meditation is the highest. Yoga is practiced by 15.8. Chiropractic services are used by 11%. Massage is used for 10.9%. Progressive muscle relaxation is done by 6.4%. And acupuncture is used by about 2.2% as alternative medical therapy. Now, mindfulness is being simply remaining aware in that particular moment, but use your own senses to stay in that particular moment, And that comes naturally as we'll go along, as we discuss it further. It is not easy to be mindful in that particular phase unless you practice over a period of time. And then, trust me, it becomes a second nature for you. Meditation, as you'll describe at the end, and many of you already do it, it requires practice, a physical action, and it does change the balance of the brain activity. Mindfulness comes automatically, becomes your trait. Now, let's do the neuroanatomy for you, brain. So most of you may not be fully aware of it, but if you look at it here, that's the frontal lobe. That's more cognitive changes take place here. But the back portion is motor cortex, that is where the actions are involved, coming off from the frontal lobe. The somatosensory cortex, which is the anterior portion of the parietal lobe. There's a temporal lobe, which is involved both hearing, speech, and certain portion of it is involved in the limbic, that which autonomic nervous system, which I'll show you in a different slide. Occipital lobe involved with vision, and this is basically consists of cerebellum, which is one which involves in balance and connects down to the spinal cord. And muscle coordination and balance is involved, this one. Now, this cerebrum has approximately 70 to 100 billion neurons. And this cortex that we're talking about is convoluted. Let's see what the next slide shows here. Let me go back. It looks convoluted. The upper thickness is only 3 to 5 millimeters, but only 3 to 5 millimeters of cortex is convoluted, like you can imagine a walnut in your hand. You can see how the corrugated spaces are there along with it. And about it only 3 to 5 millimeter in thickness, but 1/3 of the brain volume in that little thin area of cerebral cortex. And as I mentioned to you, the four major parts: frontal, parietal, occipital, and temporal. Now, these are important centers where we're talking about the inner portion of the frontal lobe called cingulate cortex, which is involved connect with the autonomic nervous system, control with the blood pressure. This is the septal area. Hypothalamus is right here. Hippocampus, these are the important area which are important for cognition. And amygdala is where involved with fear, anxiety, and concern. So these are important to remember. So they become active or less active, depending upon the activities that one performs. Now, how does meditation affect our body? Now, meditation changes the brain activity in the cortical portions of our brain, which is responsible for attention, the executive control. Don't get overwhelmed, but I'll take you step by step. It is not one single center, but all those areas are connected with fibers, creating networks. This is default mode network, attention network, salience network, and frontoparietal control network. What are those, each of them? The default network is it is very active when we are sitting quietly, ruminating about personal and other people's past and future experiences, thinking over and over and over again, and not think anything else except rehashing the things in the past in our life, or sometimes try to walk in somebody else's shoes, remembering their activities, their experiences. And when it goes on and on the same way, it creates two problems such as depression, anxiety, schizophrenia, and post-traumatic stress syndrome. And they have difficulty in processing the present moment because the mind still goes back to default mode network. Now, attention network is important because it involves the outside stimuli. The dorsal attention is involved in, that's the center you want to be involved in. When you are accompanied with good friends, you're talking with him, enjoying good conversation, enjoying great meal with your friends and family, walking on the beach as we do on Cancun. Relax, enjoyable areas. That is when the dorsal attention network is there. Attention network divided into dorsal and ventral. Dorsal is the one which is the one you want to remain. Ventral is on the lookout. Something unusual happens. Suddenly your attention is brought by the ventral attention network. So this is something only comes in the unexpected situations. Salience is the one who's interested in your well-being. Basically, watching the environment which is good, which is safe, which is healthy, which is going to make you strong and help you, or which is not going to be. So that's the one which is looking out for you. And frontoparietal control network is the one which is going to activate. So what happens, the salience network is judging what is right or wrong. And if you happen to have default mode network, you're ruminating the over and over again, then this salience network is going to kick you out of it and get you the dorsal attention network and make you more active, comfortable in a happy situation. So that's very important to have this control, but this salience network remaining active. And those are the important networks which are affected by the meditation. Now, what happens with meditation, You can increase in the gray matter, reduce in the activity of the amygdala, as I mentioned to you, on the neuroanatomy. Anxiety, concern, fear are involved with the amygdala, and the activity is diminished. Altered default mode network. So basically, it changes its activity to a minimal level. So you know, not ruminating over the negative experience of the past. Improved connectivity and neuroplasticity. That means your executive functions are more effective. Your signals go very quickly. So meditation improves that connectivity and neuroplasticity. So everything happens in the positive. Good centers are improved. Bad centers are basically decreased. So that's the advantage of meditation. We use various techniques to use it. Don't worry about the technical aspect of it. When I talk with the radiologist, we'll go about it. We do the PET scan or SPECT scan, but basically we document the changes in the brain by different digital imaging techniques, and they're called PET scan and SPECT scan. And many of you, if you have been a patient in the hospital, you probably heard those technical terms. Now here is a picture of a Buddhist monk. He's getting off from the MRI scan there. He's excited getting out because he had a good time there. As a matter of fact, he was examined by people on the West Coast at Stanford because they wanted to find out what happens for a person who has been doing meditation for a long time. And you can see the centers which are related to a surprise gift, happiness, excitement, like winning a lottery, winning a big prize. That surprise thing gives you a increased activity in these areas, you can see here. But for the person, this monk that we saw, he does it on regular basis over years, and his centers are active without getting a specific prize at that particular day. But he was basically picked up by one of the scholars who was doing a PhD at Stanford. He did the scan on it. And these are pictures we're showing there. Now, if you see here, they use the nuns who did the prayers. The baseline scan is right here. Don't worry about the images, but if you follow me, there's not much of an activity in this area, frontal area. But when they do, since they've been doing prayers for many, many years, the activity is very much high when they are doing the prayers. And you can see how those centers light up both here as well as in the posterior parietal region. Again, here, when they do the anxiety areas, you can see the baseline activities here, but you can see the superior parietal lobe area, the activity is dramatically decreased. So good things are going up and bad things are going down. If you want the same thing again, you can see a normal activity. And by doing the nuns who are doing prayers for a long time during that time, the prayer scan during that particular time, this activity is dramatically decreased. Again, this, if you see during the meditation, there is an increase in blood flow in this area. There's a baseline. You can see the activities increase here. And particularly on the, you see nothing here, you can see how much increase. And again, right side, the same way, activities there too. In baseline and meditation, you can see the activities increase. Again, you can see baseline is here. In the anxiety areas, you can see that is dramatically decreased. Now, I mentioned to you that, I won't worry about hertz because they're about very small electrical current that we have. But typically when you're awake and working in day-to-day life, if you look at this, these are all admixture of various waves that are going through the brain. You can see it's all jumbled up typically as your activity is going on during the day-to-day life. But the people who are meditating, for this is a scan of a person doing transcendental meditation, you can see how well synchronized the brain activity is. So that is the way the brain is able to synchronize in a proper, disciplined manner during that particular time when you're doing the meditation. And when you do that over a period of time, the brain seems to function on a regular basis, increasing the function of the brain centers as well as increasing their size and the functionality of the brain centers. As a matter of fact, when you're performing meditation like this, and that is recorded by a different technique here, that's how the activity is going on in different areas. And during these are the times when these ladies who were meditating for many, many years are able to feel a aha moment I mentioned to you. The sudden burst of energy during that time, when you have a certain feeling of unusually blissful phase in your meditation state, and that's recorded right in this particular time. This is Dr. Laser from Harvard talking about in the nurse monks who have been meditating for a long time. Actually, these are nuns. You can see the angular gyrus where the activity is increased. You can see the insula is increased activity, and also in the frontoparietal region, the activity is increased here a little in the parietal. Now, if you look at it here, they also not only noted the activity, but literally measured the thickness, the insula here, the prefrontal area, and they were able to demonstrate that these activities were not only increased, but the cortical thickness had gone too. For example, these blue dots represent the meditators and their calculations, whereas the red dots represent the people who are the control group. You can see the control group is considered at a much lower level than the people the nuns who have been meditating for many years. Don't worry about that. This is one of the recent project that my daughter was able to bring it to my attention the other day. This is a report from UC Davis talking about those who do meditation for a long time. They have improved perception, and their aging of the cells is considerably slowed down. As a matter of fact, the cells which get affected, their hormones, are repaired too. For example, the blood samples taken for the people who are meditating on a regular basis show 30% more telomerase. It's an enzyme that aids in the chromosomal repair because it is a chromosomal damage which naturally happens with our age, continues to thin the cortex as we grow up in age. So there's a continuous repair all through your life, tends to increase the thickness, improve the chromosomal health, and extends the life of an individual as well. Not only thickness is there, increase in longevity of the individuals as well. I won't bore you except to remember there are several important hormone levels are increased, bad hormones are decreased, and that's the reason why we have all the benefits that we have experience. I'm going to stop at this particular time and open up for question and answer. And then if the group is interested, before we conclude, I'll be happy to share with you the way I do the meditation. Okay. All right. Let's open up for question and answer. I could.
Prasanna here.
Yeah.
How long do you have to meditate every day?
Good. You do meditate every day, you said?
How long should you meditate?
Oh, how long? Well, as long as you can. Typically, honestly, you should meditate for at least 15 minutes minimum. And then how long you can go, it is entirely up to you. As a matter of fact, this will shock you. Every student who attends our HAT school, Hindu American Temple School, starts with a 5-minute meditation session. And these children continue to meditate all their life. But 2 years ago, we had a competition amongst them to find out how long they can do meditation. And we said, we'll see if we can meditate for 30 minutes. Every student in that class was meditating at 30 minutes. We went up to 40 minutes and we called it off because these students were so deeply involved. It's amazing how the children can learn when they learn at a younger age, continue all their life. Because every student attending a class, after 5 minutes start before the at school start, their behavior in the classroom is amazingly wonderful. So if you start the meditation in the morning, just for even 5 minutes, it'll get you a good start to your work. And those 5 minutes are not wasted at all. As a matter of fact, that'll give you, say, more than 5 minutes, if not 15, 30 minutes in your functional activity throughout the day. So at least 15 minutes, that's what I would strongly suggest. Okay.
So it's never too late to
Oh,
start
absolutely.
meditation.
No, no, no. It's just amazing. The thing is, it may sound difficult in the beginning, but amazingly, once start doing it, you slide into it automatically. It doesn't, you don't have to do anything. But only way I can make you agree with the numbers I'm sharing, only you have to feel yourself.
Yeah,
Book numbers are nothing, Prasanna.
yeah.
What you feel about it is all the difference.
Okay.
I can talk about theoretical, that's different. But this is basically for satisfying the so called scientific mind.
Yeah,
The only experience that you feel is that
yeah.
really counts. So I'm glad you asked the question.
Very good. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Any question or comments? Is Johnny here?
Yeah, I wanted to raise an adjacent area. There are
Yeah.
many studies that show closely parallel consequences
Uh-huh.
spending time in nature and
Uh-huh.
meditating.
Uh-huh.
Things that relate to blood pressure and immunity and all, and blood pressure, that's a reflection of stress and all those kinds of things.
Right.
And I'm wondering how you look at those two ways of being, spending your time, meditation and time in nature.
As a matter of fact, Johnny, I encourage doing that because, as we have discussed in the past between two of us, nature is none different than divinity itself. So when you go outside, a gentle breeze is blowing, the birds are making beautiful sound, singing. The trees are around, even if they're covered by snow sometimes. When you're sitting there quietly, comfortably, the nature inspires you. I mean, people laugh at me when I say when I sing the mantras next to my orchids, they seem to do well. But trust me, there is a communication. I think we sometimes egotistically human beings tend to believe that we know everything and the animals and birds and the plants don't know anything. I have full understanding in my mind that they're just as living as we are. And I think if we just play the respect to them, they recognize you. I mean, you see the dog, the cats, they you can recognize they are alive and they recognize how they are dear to you. But if
Mhm.
you recognize at the animal level, trust me, the same thing is true about the trees.
Yeah,
So no, I agree with you fully.
good. Yeah, you probably know the study way back, I think in the 80s in Sweden, where they compared the recovery of cardiac patients after surgery.
Mhm.
And they had a population, a fairly sizable population of people who were very, very well matched for what the issue was, what the procedure was, and so on. They divided them into two groups. One group recovered, all of the rooms in the hospital had windows.
Uh,
One group was placed in windows through which you would see uh, the uh, wall of another wing of the hospital. So you had natural light, you had a window, but what you saw was a brick wall. The
uh,
other group had very similar rooms, very similar windows. What they saw was a tree.
oak tree, not a
Just
ground.
looking at it from the hospital room.
Uh, uh,
And the difference in the recovery was absolutely amazing.
uh,
Reduced complications, reduced asking for pain medication, quicker release from the hospital. All these things happen just by being able to see a tree through a window.
that's wonderful. As a matter of fact, the the CEO of that hospital will come and increase the rate for that room. I'm sorry.
Yeah, this apparently was so potent that many hospitals have actually done redesigns of their building, or this information plays a role in the design of new hospitals.
As a
Because
matter of fact, I can tell you with great pride that when we started Minneapolis Children's Hospital in 1972, that's taken precisely into consideration when we arranged each of the floors and the windows and the decoration around. As a matter of fact, because there's a tendency for children or anybody to be scared with the doctors with the white lab coats, they were no longer wore white lab coats at all. Our lab coats kept on changing. We started with the light blue color. So they felt they were not doctors. The thing is, the attitude makes a difference and the interaction makes a difference. I can share with you of one of the several changes I had a chance to do myself as a radiologist. For the first time in this country, we were allowed to let the parents come inside the room when I'm like, doing the examination. Now, it's taken for granted is allowed now. But when I presented that in 72 at the national meeting, I was severely criticized. How can you allow them to come? And I said, well, they cry, children cry because of separation anxiety, not as much because of the procedure. So parents are properly protected with lead, just like I do put on the lead. I'm not directly direct in the X-ray beam. As a matter of fact, the parents were helpful to me when the child was crying for no reason. Whereas when they hear the cries waiting in the waiting room, they don't know what's happening to their child. So again, these are small little things go a long way for a common sense change that you do. And meditation is just part of it. Only thing is what I tried to do or share with you this morning is to show actual structural changes that occur. But as Prasanna was rightly asking, the real proof in the pudding is eating. So I'm waiting for the dish to come out. So thank you. Any other questions or comments? Thanks.
Yes, Dr. Sane. Hi, it's Rashmi Gupta, your former student.
Hi, how are you, Rashmi?
Good. How are you? Good to see you.
Good to hear your voice. Where's your face?
Oh, sorry, my video is off. Let me turn it on really quick. Sorry. Hi.
You want to play tennis now?
Yeah. No, I dropped my son off at Indian dance class right now. So I'm in my car. Thank you for showing those images. It's great to see like the physical impact in the brain. You showed the images of the brain scans of professional meditators, right?
Right.
Like Buddhist monks, right? And then the nuns. So if people are starting, newer now for meditation, how long do you think it would take to show that positive impact in the brain? Is it instantaneous, or does it come over time?
It comes up, amazingly within a few months, you can see the changes. As a matter of fact, I did not show the slides because I got too many of them. The study was done from Harvard where they studied the individuals after only 2 months of meditation. Huh? Yeah. You're beginning meditators.
Okay.
Within 2 months, there was a distinct change in the brain pattern and the activity. So Rashmi, you still have a future. I'm just teasing.
Yeah.
Rashmi was a little girl when she started attending the youth camp. Now she's a big mama with, how old are your children, Rashmi?
I have one boy, he's 5.
Good. So good to see your face. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
I'm just as mean as before, as you know.
That's okay.
Any other questions or comments?
Dr. Sane, this is Jagdish here.
Hi, Jagdish.
Good morning, and thank you for the talk as always. Jai Sri Krishna, and I'm going to add Jai Maharashtra.
Where's your
Jai
face?
Maharashtra. Sorry, my camera is not working on my cell phone. I apologize.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but I was just going to say add Jai Maharashtra. I'm going to just make a quick comment. If you haven't seen the movie Chhava, you have to see it.
Okay. All right, we'll certainly do. Thank you. Any other
Dr.
questions?
Sane,
Yes. Hi, Parag.
just a couple of comments. First of all, thank you for showing all those slides. Intuitively, I had a feeling that all these prayers, meditation, all these things definitely has some physical effect on our body. But I did not know that there exists this kind of very, very direct correlation. So it was absolutely eye-opener for me. So thanks a lot for that. My second comment is, you mentioned about the interaction with animals. My daughter has 2 dogs. And periodically when she travels, we go to her house and we stay there. And those 2 dogs, unbelievable amount of love that they show to me. They compete between them. Each one of them, each one of them wants to show more love. And obviously a younger one is more aggressive. So he would somehow figure out a way to come and sit in my lap. And the other one, kind of little older, so he tries to respect me and stay a little bit away. And he waits for the younger one to go in another room, and then he comes. And I observe their behavior, and I'm saying, oh my God, just unbelievable. So it's very, very true.
Well,
so
thank you.
Thank you very much.
There's so much to learn from everybody else. If you just keep eyes and ears open and put your ego down where it belongs, on in the trash can or in the mat, that'll be okay. Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Sane,
Yeah.
this is Ramesh Gupta.
Hey, Ramesh, good to see you. Good to hear your voice.
Good to see you also. I had a stroke and I'm on dialysis. I cannot walk, so I have a walker to walk around the house. But big problem is I cannot sleep in the night. Is there anything? I take a lot of medication. I all night I was up. I could not do anything.
Sure. First of all, good to hear your voice. Good to hear Rashmi's face and voice as well. There is not one person in the world who does not suffer. If you look at my face, I'm wearing an oxygen mask. See that? I'm using oxygen here. So if you remember the story of a mother bringing a little baby in the arm who is no longer alive, asking Gautam Buddha to bring that baby back.
Yes.
And Gautam Buddha said, Mom, I feel your pains, I understand it. But do me a favor, go to the neighborhood and find out a house which has not seen the challenges and tragedies, and bring me the mustard seeds from there. Now magically you'll bring your child back. To see the pain, suffering is normal in every individual. But when you recognize who you really are, Ramesh, as I described in the beginning, we all are Satchidanandas. So if you recognize, if your shirt is not clean or dirty, you can ask Shashi or Rashmi to help you get your new one. And the same thing applies. If the body is not good, that's no problem. You can change it. But the key is, as long as you're wearing it, you take the best possible care for it. So as a matter of fact, when you have a feeling of comfort, you'll be able to sleep. For example, when you're a little boy, you couldn't sleep. You were afraid of something, scary thing in that cupboard. What did you do? You ran up to your mother, got into her arms, and you fell asleep. So the sense of comfort at that particular time.
Yes.
The same thing applies. In this case, the mother is God or goddess that you like. Go to the prayers on the time when you're trying to fall asleep. Have the comfort level within that you are in comfortable arms at that time. And trust me, you can call me tomorrow, day after. In a week or so, you'll start sleeping regularly. You have to have that complete faith that you'll be able to sleep and you'll be able to sleep. Okay?
I enjoy your talk about meditation.
Good.
So
I'm glad.
I try to do some of that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Every night I'm afraid I will not be able to sleep.
Well, I'll tell you another thing you can do when you're meditating. When you lay down in the bed at night,
Yes.
gradually relax the body step by step and you'll fall asleep. As you're meditating, you say to yourself, laying down, mind wise, my feet are relaxed. My feet are relaxed. My feet are relaxed. And you'll be surprised your feet will be relaxed. Then go to legs, the knees, the hip, the body, the chest, the face. And as you relax different parts of your body, you'll be able to go to sleep. Try it. Let me
Very.
know. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for your advice.
Welcome. Bye-bye. Good to hear. Good to see you. Thank you.
Good to see you. Sir.
Thank you, Dr. Sane. This is Shashi.
Thank you, Shashi. Thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you for all the good times from the camps that the kids learned, that we learned when we used to go for take a whole week off vacation from our, time when I worked at the law school.
Well, the thing
And I
is,
admire Ramesh used to say,
Listen.
Ramesh, he had so many problems. He said, I don't want to live. I said, you know what? God chooses when we are going to come and when we are going to go. You can't do like that.
exactly.
Thank you.
Support each other as you're doing, and it'll be just fine. Good to
Okay.
see you. Okay,
Thank
take care.
God bless you.
Nice. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Dr. Sane,
Yes.
if you don't mind, let us extend today's session a little bit and let us see how you meditate. Or
Okay. What you do is sit yourself comfortably. You keep your hands together, feet preferably grounded on the floor. Close your nose, eyes partially, but don't go to sleep. Gently keep on breathing through your nose. Let the breath go inside and out. Feel it. So first part is relaxation. Second part is focusing your attention on the breath. And mind will try to jump from place to place, but just do observation than the reacting. Like you see the cloud come in the sky, but you don't chase it from A to Z, but it comes and goes. So you relax your body. You're focusing your attention on the breath in and out. Mind is centered, not disturbed. And turn your mind's gaze inwards. Because that's where the real energy source is, which is divine. And keep breathing gently. Focus on nothing but the breath. And keep on breathing. And gradually open your eyes now. Wipe your eyes clean.
Thank you, Dr. Sane.
And then gradually get up. Thank you. You're welcome, Anil. Thank you.
Shashi,
Yes, Prasanna.
interesting. My mind started to wander off when I
Uh-huh.
was focusing on the breath. I told myself, Dr. Sane won't be very pleased with this. He came back.
Good, good.
It never wandered afterwards.
Dr. Sane is mean. Yes, you know. So wonderful. Thanks, Prasanna.